Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope everybody's doing great today. So we are going to be doing a couple of different things today actually. So last week we finished up the Enceladus pen. And I thought, and I think I mentioned this last week, I was like, if we could just get craters in this thing, it'd be perfect. So I think what we're gonna do first is actually try to create a blank with air bubbles in it basically. And just see if we can get any kind of craters. So I thought that'd be kind of fun. If you didn't see last week's stream, this one turned out surprisingly good. This was kind of my expectation, or well, this was my hope. I would actually say that this is better than what I had hoped. It really does kind of capture the picture that I was looking at. It feels like it to me. So pretty happy with this one. It's just a roller ball. I'm thinking about actually sending this to the person that I know. I mean, I don't know them personally really, but maybe send it to the person that is a customer that kind of got this all started. So anyway, we got that. Like I said, I think we'll try. I've done this maybe once or twice. Trying to get like air bubbles in a blank, and luckily with the Lumelite Clear Slow, pretty much if you don't pressurize it, there's going to be some air bubbles. The big question though has to do with, again, it's timing, right? So there's going to be minimal bubbles, and they'd be pretty small if you poured at a lower temperature. If you pour at a higher temperature, you're probably going to get more air bubbles and possibly even like bigger ones and more random sized ones, which is what I would want. The problem is if you go too late, like things can kind of not swirl, very well and stuff like that. So it's kind of a tough one. I'm not sure exactly how to proceed, but I'll kind of, let it mull around in my brain for a minute and then we'll do it. Now, the other thing, my supplier for the Starlight glitter totally screwed up and sent me gold colored glitter. And I could have sent it back, but I'm like, let's try it out, and then they gave me a deal on something else. So I'm going to go overhead. So it's the chunky style glitter, kind of holographic, but it's a kind of a gold tint. So I thought, why not? I'm sure Mike McEwen wants to see this. So we're going to play with that. And so I'm not entirely certain. We'll have to kind of see how this goes, how I like this stuff. I liked the other one because it was very specific. There were specific things that I wanted for certain blanks that I really liked. The other one kind of has like a purplish tint, and it's, kind of like silvery purple. I liked that for kind of spacey things and different stuff like that. This gold one is going to be pretty cool, I think, but I want to kind of test it out. It is available in my store already. So if anybody wants to snag and I'm calling it, what am I calling it? What's it called? Golden Starlight Glitter. Pretty awesome name. So here's a link. It's linked down in the description as well already. If you want to pick some of this stuff up. The one thing that I do want to mention though is this is not going to be it's not included in addition with the bundle. That one just has the micro, the regular Starlight glitter, and the color shift powder. I'd have to change the pricing and stuff, and I'm not 100% sure yet that I'm going to keep this in my lineup, like reorder it down the line. So we'll play with it and we'll see how it goes. But I got a big bag of it, so it's available until it runs out, and it's going to be here for a while. It's not going anywhere in like a week or two. I would imagine, depending on the demand, I guess, for it, I'll probably have it for like a year or so. So the pen inspired you to dig out your old telescope. That's so cool. So you bought a new one. That's cool. I want to I have one that's, it's like a Celestron. I don't know what the name, it's like a refractor, whatever. The problem was the stand was so wobbly that it just kind of made, like the scope itself is reasonably decent. It's fine. I need to get a better stand for it though, because it kind of makes it pretty useless. So one little tip, and I kind of looked into a lot of this stuff. The tough thing is we moved from a place where we had really pretty dark skies when we were living 30 minutes away from the shop. We were kind of in the middle of nowhere. we moved into Carson City, and the light pollution here just kind of sucks. So we're pretty close to Reno. So someday I might get a new one. But if you're going to get a telescope, make sure that you get one with a solid base, the stand part. That's like more important than the optics almost. So let's see here. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. So what was I saying? Telescope. I got totally derailed with the telescope comment. So we got some of this. Now with this, the game plan that I want to use this with, I've been kind of working on, so you guys know that I'm working on different pigment colors and stuff, and I'm doing stuff personally for my team color blanks. Mentioned this a million times. I'm converting so that I can use Alumilite Clear Slow, so I have to convert all of my recipes, which is going pretty well. If you saw my shop, I've got probably at least 1,000 sample cups sitting around at this point. It's pretty sad, but things are going well. I'm starting to kind of figure, it's tough because you got to kind of figure out like one, and then how does that compare to other ones, and you know, you're trying to get them all perfect, but I've said it a million times, color matching, you can't match it. It's not going to be perfect ever. You can get as close as possible, and the bigger problem is making sure that, you know, one team that you know, especially like a popular team, has a pretty correct color, and then the difference between that one and some other team that's got like maybe a darker color, you need to make sure that those things are, you know, if somebody bought all of them, you don't want like the Texas A&M, which is like a really dark purple, to be pretty close to like Alabama or something like that. You know, like you need to have differentiation. So that's the tough thing, is like getting like starting points and set points where, okay, this, that's the tough part. But in addition to that, what I want to do is come up with some pretty cool, interesting colors, because I'm making billions of samples. I'm also just doing, you know, random things that I'm trying out that have nothing to do with any of the blanks that I sell. And so down the road, at some point, I plan to start selling some of these kind of unique colors that you really, I've never seen anywhere else. So one of them that I've been kind of working on is like a Tiffany blue, like a robin egg blue. So that's in Gretchen's, I've been kind of showing her samples and stuff. So let's see here, I'm going to go to the overhead. So that's one of the things that may come out. Doesn't look very awesome in this bottle. I don't have any like samples that I can share because they have info on them, secret info. So anyway, so that's what I thought would be kind of a fun one to put. And Gretchen she was like, oh, you should do that with the Tiffany blue, with the gold stuff. So we're going to make that kind of for Gretchen. Her birthday's actually coming up, so maybe she'll get a pen. And she's out of town right now, so I seriously doubt she's watching this. And she probably won't watch it like the replay or anything. So we're safe to play around and have some fun. Now, one other little side note. I have redone my Eagles blank mixture. So originally, and I don't know how, well, I know how I got on this. Some of the, like there's websites and things that you can look up, like colors, you know, team color stuff. And one of the sources that I had, you know, the greenish, the kind of dark green, black, and like silver. So I started making blanks like that. And then I realized that they don't really have a whole, like there's a little silver trim around like the eagle thing on their helmet. And that's pretty much it. So I'm like, and I also contacted a few friends that I know are Eagles fans, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? So I've changed it. It's green, white, and black. Penny just ordered the last. I was clearing out the last ones that had they had like a light gray, like a silver. She picked up the last three on closeout. So these are available now, right now in the shop. So if anybody's looking for Eagles blanks, we got them, and they're, I think, a little bit more. They definitely look a lot more like the uniforms. Also, I saw the Super Bowl, and I'm like, I don't know. You can add silver, but I think you got to have white in there. I think it's just a big part of their look. So I've corrected the issue. The other ones didn't look bad or anything like that. They look pretty good, but I definitely think these look better. So, oh, dinner's done. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, Easter, that's not a bad one for Easter. One other color that I'm also working on, go to this, is like a John Deere green. I'm going to call it tractor green. And I think I've got that pretty well nailed down. It's pretty close. So I actually got an order for blanks for that anyway. That was one that I was actually in my brain. I was like, that'd be pretty cool to have like a John Deere green. It's a good color in general. And it's one that, again, you can find like dark greens and like lime greens, but there's really no in-between greens that look particularly good, I don't think. So this one, and it's kind of like grass green, I would call it. It's going to be, I think, a pretty good color. So like I said, that's coming down the road. I also have an army green that I really love that's going to come out. I'm not sure which formulation I'm going to do. And then coral. I really love the coral. That one's going to be cool. So interesting random colors to kind of fill in. I don't really want to, at least at this point, I'm not looking to like take over market share or whatever from like Divine Pigments. They got a pretty good line of things right now. There are things missing, I think, and you know, there's also like the eye candy pastes. I think they have a very minimal amount of colors. And then there's some other ones out there that really just kind of have like standard base colors, and that's like all you get. So I'm looking to kind of create unique colors and add that to the market. Maybe down the road I may become the pigment man or something like that, but right now I just want to come out with some pretty cool ones that I think people will like. So let's see here. Yeah, the tough thing is in these bottles, these don't look particularly great, but they look good in like samples, and I'm hoping that they'll look good in the final pens. That's actually another issue that I'm having, is I pour sample cups of things like this, and it's one thing to look at it flat like that. It's a totally different thing when you make a round pen blank. It doesn't look the same. And you're like, okay. So not only do I have to like, you know, come up with something in the cup as just liquid pigment, and then I gotta, you know, create a sample. And I know that I could make like a pen blank one instead as the sample, but those work really well. They're a particular amount. I've been doing it for so long that it's a good one, but then I got to make blanks and see if like the colors go together and all that stuff correctly. It's kind of difficult, I got to be honest, but I'm working on it. Yeah, a terracotta is another one that I've been thinking about, actually. That was on my mind. I'll have to see about that one though. It could be pretty similar to the coral, almost. I mean, coral is a lot brighter, kind of for the most part, but it may be kind of similar to that. So we'll have to kind of see. And there's like different terracottas too, because I've actually looked into that. There's all kinds of different things. So that one's on the list also. If anybody has any other suggestions on colors that you'd like to see, possibly, I can kind of add that to the list, see if I can come up with stuff. There are a lot of colors. One thing, and just to be honest, I'm not going to be unleashing any of the team color matches that I have. So unfortunately, those I'm going to keep. But you know, there's other ones that I think a lot of people would like. I'm just not 100% sure. You know, it helps to have ideas, basically, which ones are kind of missing in the group. So anyway, that's it. Like I said, Eagle blanks are ready. Actually, I can drop a link to the Eagles blanks too. There may not be a link in the description. So I'll just do this. There we go. I'll add a link to the description for people later on. So first things first, let's knock this out. One of the nice things about this project is I'm not going to have to use a pressure pot either. So, so last time we used, I'm going to try and recreate, and I actually looked up the stream because I pretty much didn't take very good notes, I don't think. I'm just looking at my notes real quick. So we're going to recreate the second pour for sure. And I'm just going to gather some of the tools. So I used a very thin kind of mixing stick that kind of draws things through, I've found. we need, what do we need? One thing that I do remember, I used 3 drops of blue to 1 drop of green dye. We also, one other thing that I totally forgot about, and I haven't tested, we put glow powder in the green stuff, and I didn't even think about that. So we'll do that again. Add a little bit of, yeah, we'll go with aqua glow. It's more aqua than green. What else? Gray. Oh shoot, do I have, what did I do for the gray? I don't know if I... One very crucial note that I don't think I wrote down was what color gray we used. Hold on, guys. It's pretty crucial to know which color I used here. Oh, actually, I think I do know. Yeah, okay, I know. Okay, we're okay. We're okay. I think. If not, we're going to have a slightly different one this time. So let's see here. Well, I'm not going to stick my mouth on anything near resin. I'm sorry. So that might work. I'm not doing it. You don't really want resin in your mouth. Things can just go wrong when you start ingesting resin. So I'll let somebody else try that one. I'm going to move this pen out of the way. I hope I picked the right... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the right color. I'm going to look real quick at something. This will probably start playing automatically. No? Huh. I'm going to go back and actually look at this real quick. Okay. I'm talking about you're not going to get an exact match. Yeah, okay. We're good. I know what I did. Wow. Slam that on. Okay, so we need, I got to think what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do is so last time I think I poured it at around 100 degrees. The thing about changing this number is it may not give us exactly the same type of result. Sometimes changing that, like when you pour things, can kind of change the results, like how much that kind of greenish, turquoise goes through the blank and stuff. The one thing is, it should, because we're adding that glow powder, it should sink through. That's one of the reasons why it went all the way through, even though we just poured it at the top. The glow powder is super heavy. So that'll actually help get a little bit more distribution throughout the blank, pouring it vertically like that at a high temp. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try... I think I'm going to pour it like 120. That might be really thick. I might have to kind of call an audible on this one when I get there. I'm going I'm going to put like 115 because what I don't want is it's so thick that I literally can't even pour it, like especially like multiples. Like you could wait. Here's another thing to think about. If you're pouring blanks and you've got, 7 blanks that you need to pour and you're doing like multiple passes, that's going to take longer. So if you start at a higher temperature, you're not going to have as much time to do your pouring, right? If you're pouring one single pen blank, which we technically we could just do that, it kind of makes things a little bit harder with the amounts and all that stuff, but we could do one blank, but then you have more time basically, or you could go even higher and still get one thing done because you're not sitting there pouring as many rounds necessarily. Slightly different, but just something to think about. If you and this is one of the problems. People are like, oh, why don't you just batch out a bunch of blanks? It doesn't work that way. You can't just pour 500 blanks at once because the amount of time that you have, if you're doing color swirl stuff, if you're doing like label blanks and you're just pouring clear, resin, and it doesn't matter what temperature or how thick it is, then yeah, sure, you can do 100 blanks at a time. But if you're doing things where there's a little technique involved, and time is a factor, you can't really batch out. You can do some amount more, but eventually you're going to start, running out of time basically, or it's too thick, or you're going to get different results basically. So that's one of the tough things. So it's 69 degrees in the shop today. It's been warm here. I guess we're getting snow though again, which is good because we need it. We haven't gotten like any snow this year. It's ridiculous. I picked a good year to not go snowboarding. If I had to do rehab all winter, this was the year to do it because the skiing has been just abysmal, I think. All right, so I'm just going to do a normal, like the way we did it before. We're going to do a Gatling mold full. That way I can also just use all the same numbers and all that stuff. One thing that I could do is tone down the gray just a tad if I wanted. The darker gray part, well, it's not really that bad. I could probably have that, like add white to it and just kind of see how that looks. I don't know. How much did I put? Yeah, let's try that. Why not? It's not going to change a whole lot. Just writing down my notes. So I'm gonna go to the overhead here, just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. We did 2 grams. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. So today's the 1st of March. That's weird. Does that seem weird to you guys? Time is just flowing. God, I got a frog today. Let's see here. We're doing golden. What is it? What did I call it? Golden Starlight. And Enceladus craters. Okay, so number 1. Stick, no pressure. So we're gonna try. I'm gonna say 115 degrees, and then we'll just kind of have to see how that like pans out, kind of thing. Again, that's one of those things where really helps to kind of keep your eye on the viscosity, how thick the resin's getting in the cup. And eventually, like, you'll probably kind of know, like, oh, okay, I got to do it now because it's getting thick. It's always helpful to kind of do that test that I say. It's a big waste of resin. So you're gonna waste resin. But grab yourself a cup, mix up like 200 or 300 grams of resin. Don't put anything in it. Just mix it up, mix it together, A and B, and literally just sit there playing with it, in the cup with your mix, stir stick and kind of watching it, seeing what it's doing. Take the temperature repeatedly and see, okay, at 95 degrees, how does it look? What is it doing? At 100 degrees, what are we looking like? How thick is it? What are its, characteristics, kind of thing? And just try to kind of get an idea of, what the resin's like at what temperature. And one thing that you could do is also just do experiments trying to push the limits to the the point where you're not getting, you've screwed up, kind of thing. You've waited too long. Wait and do a couple tests, like pouring it together. That would be a good one with you don't have to like waste a ton of resin on this one. You could maybe even, I don't need to be over here. You could maybe even do this at the same time, like kind of in addition, or, whatever. Grab yourself maybe like 2 or 3, clear PVC pipes. It's kind of tough to do this. You'd have to add some like dyes and stuff or whatever, some pigments. I think it would help. But, like you can try pouring at different temperatures. I think you're better off doing these two different tests. Do the one where you're just kind of sitting there waiting until it literally like hardens in the cup. That way, okay, at this temperature in the shop and at this temperature for the resin, like this is when it's gonna like be hard, kind of thing. And you should be able to kind of figure out like what is the upper limit really, where I can still maybe pour this. But another test that you could do is like line up, a few different pipes. And in this case, do, like 2 colors or 3 or whatever, and try to, like do pours at different temperatures. You could do this all at once, pour at like 95, kind of wait, see what the temperature is, pour at like 105 or, something. Delineate some numbers and do some tests. And knowing that, again, you're going to be kind of wasting resin, but I think the information that you get out of it is well worth the few bucks that you're wasting in resin, just especially if you're pretty much new to this. I think it helps to just do a test where like the point is failure. That way you get it out of your system too. You're like, okay, you're not just pushing the limits, trying to get blanks, and then they turn out bad when you were trying to get good ones. If they turn out bad and you were trying to make them bad, then you win, right? It's a win. So where did I get the shark gray? It's just a Divine Pigment. Turner's Warehouse carries it. You can also get it at divinepigments.com. Probably even if you're ordering Alumilite from Turntex, I think they carry them possibly. I don't know who else like carries them, but I definitely know Turner's Warehouse has them, and obviously Divine Pigments sells them. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that plus, so this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 50-50. I'm going to do shark and white 50-50. So that'll just tone down the darker. It still should be darker than my other one that I'm using. Okay. And we need our green and blue, translucent blue. Did I do ocean blue? Yeah, I think so. I took really terrible notes. I was so excited and focused on it that I was like, yeah, whatever, notes. And this is what I'm saying, guys. Like, when you don't take good notes, like, you're just like, what did I do? I have no clue what's going on. So always try to take good notes. Luckily, I have a video I can go back and watch. On the stream, sometimes I keep that in the back of my mind. I'm like, well, if I don't write every note down, at least I can go back to the video. But that's a waste of time, you know, and if I could just look it up and see, okay, I used, you know, this color for the light gray and definitely used ocean blue this time, you know, those types of things. It's sure a lot easier. Let's see here, so 40, 20. So I'm going to get out a couple small cups for the darker gray and the greenish. And go with, where's my other one? Oh, I already got that. I already got a mold. We're good. All right, so let's go to the overhead. Let's see if there's any other. Rich is here. What's up, man? At a higher temperature, I do less mowing. That's funny. Yeah, the acrylic ball thing, that's not a bad idea, actually. Huh. Huh. Yeah. Pipette, yeah. That would definitely be safer. Oh, your daughters like Tiffany jewelry? Yeah, that stuff is expensive. Tiffany and silver, that's a good one too. Like I said, this one's for Gretchen. Because it was right around the same time that I was working on this Tiffany blue, and kind of showing her samples. And at the same time, I also got that thing, and I'm like telling her they sent me the wrong thing. So, whatever. Oh, the pen finish. Yeah, that's true. Might do gold though, just to keep the theme. I don't know. Okay, so I don't think I see any other questions. If you have any questions, it does help me actually if you put the capital QQQ. That does pop out at me when I'm kind of scanning the thing to see questions. So you don't have to. I usually kind of scan through anyway, but just to let you know. Okay, so let's go overhead. What color green? It's just the green dye from Alumilite. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's basically they keep changing their packaging. Like, I swear, they've changed the like labels on their bottles like 4 times, I think, in the last like 4 years. I'm like, could you just pick one? It really doesn't make any difference to any of us. Yeah, so this is probably, I think, what they look like. It's not picking up very well. Let's go to this red, translucent green. Oops, I'm upside down. Not very bright. But it's just the translucent green. You know, pretty much all the Alumilite dyes are just transparent. I wouldn't even call it translucent. I don't even think that's accurate. They're pretty much see-through. Some of them get really dark, so I guess that is where they could maybe say translucent. But like your yellow, red, ocean blue can be a little dark. Yellow, red, orange, typically. Those 3 are like, I don't care how much you add, you're gonna see through it. Like, it's not translucent at all. It's almost like think of almost like an alcohol ink. The blue is really dark. The violet is really dark. The orange no, not the orange. The, what was I saying? The ocean blue can be, green and blue, regular blue. Some of them are really dark, but you can, like, if you just add a very tiny amount, it's going to be see-through. So it gives you a range. Now, your white, black, brown, I would throw in there. And white, black, and brown, those things like are probably going to be just opaque pretty much. Definitely white and black, they are opaque pigments. And then your fluorescents are like semi-translucent. They're not totally opaque, but you can get them opaque if you add enough. Okay, so I'm going to get all this stuff out of the way. Here, oh, I forgot to, I think I might have to fill up my jugs in the middle of this. We'll see. So we are doing, I'm going to do 200. So this mold, I usually mix up 400 grams. So I'm going to do 200 grams of part A. Sneaking up on it. Oh, look at that. I got it. Nailed it. 200 exactly. 200.0. Oh, it's flipping around to 0.1. Depends on how close I am to it. All right, let's get these things kind of situated. We don't need the gold stuff. This goes with that and that. Okay. 200 part A. I think we might actually have enough to get both these batches done. And then 200 part B. I usually go over a little bit with the part B. That's not going to hurt you when it comes to this resin specifically. What am I doing? Let's go over here. Okay. It's more fun to make mistakes. Oh, by the way, guys, did you guys see the demo that Jim did from Cocoon Blanks during the Turner's Warehouse open house? If you didn't see it, definitely go and watch it. Even if you are a caster, you've done casting, you know what you're doing. Go and watch it. He had some pretty good tips, some of which I cringed at. Just my personal, one of the things I'm actually going to try. He's got a different type of paddle mixer thing. It's like a little 3D printed doohickey. I'm going to try some of those out for certain things. One of the things that he does, he paddle mixes everything, and he'll just like paddle mix one, let's say that it had like, some blue mica powder in it, and then he'll just dump it into the next one. And I'm like, oh, drives me nuts. But it doesn't affect anything. It just, however, he also did mention a caveat. He's like, yeah, it's fine but you can't do it like between dyes. And so like, that's the thing when one of the things, I'm very particular about doing things. I clean things off and I do all this stuff. And realistically, the reason for that is I don't just stick with mica powders for most things. A lot of what I do are dyes, and you can't just be flipping around and doing all this stuff with dyes. Like some of my mixtures are so sensitive that if you just got a blob, like a drop of some other color in like somehow got into a different cup, it would totally throw the ratios off. So that's why I'm very particular about keeping things clean and doing all this stuff. I'm also kind of OCD, but that's the reason is a lot of what I do has to be kind of exacting, where if you're just kind of, mixing around some mica powders, then no, you're not going to really affect the color by just kind of using the same stir stick basically in all the cups. It's funny. So one of these days I might go rogue and try some of the techniques and tips things that Jim shared. It was a really good it was like a beginner resin casting thing, but he did a really good job, and there's like really good nuggets of info in that. So make sure to go back and watch that if you haven't. He does things differently. That's the thing, is you could watch, something like that from a bunch of different casters, and if Chad did one, he would have different stuff. And if Jake did it, he would explain things or do things differently, All right, so 40, I want to make sure that I'm paying attention for this. 40 is, let's see here. I don't even think I used that one. I think I used this one. This is the one that I usually use. I don't know. 1, 2, 3 blues to 1 green. That's what I did. And I really like that color. And this is the green one. It's just, I buy giant bottles of it and then put it in these 1 ounce bottles. 3 to 1. So hopefully that worked out good. And we're also adding the Aqua Glow. I'm going to put I don't know what I put in last time. I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon. I think that's what I did, but I could probably go with quite a bit less on that. I think I said that last time. I was like, whoa, it's actually quite a bit for how small this cup is. of resin, but I'm going to try and keep things the same for the most part. Changing that color of the gray is really not going to affect anything, you know. If I put a different amount of glow powder in, that would probably affect things a little bit. So I'm trying to keep most of the variables somewhat consistent and just be dealing with that temperature difference. Because if I change like all kinds of different variables, then I'm not getting any information back basically on how I should do things next time. Whoa, that's too much. Put a little bit of that back. Might actually do. Yeah. That's close enough. Whatever. Okay, put that back. Now, do you have to clean every single thing every single time? No. That's just OCD. But the thing is, there's reasons that I do that. If I don't clean up after myself, then things get, there's dye everywhere on all my clothes. Even my take-home clothes is what I've found. And I just can't handle that. So let's see. Doing like, oh, that's probably good. 0.1. And might be a little bit more white than 0.1, but that's okay. I don't really care if this is like perfectly repeatable. It's not that important. That just lightened it. I don't really have an example or anything of what this was before, but I think that's gonna be, all we need is just a little slight difference. I'm just kind of playing with like the shadows in that picture more than anything. And this one was 2 grams. Yeah, light colors to dark. But that, to me, I'd rather just get a different mixer. I don't have to worry about those things. That's my thing, is like, I'd rather just not think about it. 2 grams of this. But that's the thing, like, you got to figure out which way works best for you, because the interesting thing was, he kind of mentioned, he's like, and he was definitely talking about me. Some people would get so annoyed with the way that I do things that it would drive them absolutely nuts. Like, and that's cool, that's fine. You know, you got to do the way that you got to do it. But watching other people do certain things drives me absolutely up a wall. Like, there's no way that I could do things that way. Because I know that I would have failures a lot more if I wasn't kind of on top of certain things. Some things I go way beyond, but it's just easier for me. Satisfies my OCD to kind of keep things cleaned up, straightened, organized a little bit better. All right, so we're shooting for like 115 on these temps, and the way that I poured that last time, I poured mostly kind of gray, and I added a little bit of the darker gray in the bottom half, and then I focused the green on like the top half of the mold. That's where I started pouring it. About, I can't really see. I'm not stopping and looking to make sure that I have everything like 50%, but in general, I'm kind of thinking in my brain like the grays only in the bottom when I'm pouring, and then the all 3 in the top. And it didn't work out that way. Like I said, this stuff, we'll see. The higher the temperature, the thicker it is. So it's not like, there's a point where even though this glow powder is super heavy, it's still not going to go through the resin at a certain temperature or thickness or whatever. So we'll see. Oh man, the dye, I'm telling you, like little drips, like you don't even notice that you splatter it, or like I'm sneaking up on things and I'm literally using a toothpick and I just set it down and it gets everywhere. Like I'm pretty sure that there's dye all over these things. So this is just acetone. If I just wipe this, that side's not too bad. It is picking up, there is a little bit of red there. But I'm pretty sure on this side, you guys can kind of see, I think. Oh, surprising. There's a little bit of green. Like there's like dyes everywhere. They're just little splatters. Oh, there's some green. And the problem is I put my hand in it and then I got it on my clothes, then I got it on it's everywhere. Oh, there's no way around it, honestly, especially if you're doing the kind of messing around with pigments that I'm doing. All right, let's see where we're at temperature-wise here. I've been kind of just yakking and stuff, so. But I can, this is the thickness that we're looking at right now. Another thing that you can do, actually, one thing that probably would have been pretty smart. I don't have those little paddle mixers ready yet. Paddle mixing this stuff would have been the way to do it. I don't have a mixer. That will introduce a ton of bubbles. So what I'm going to do is, especially when it starts getting even thicker, that will give you the same thing as like, using a pipette and blowing air in there, I think. I still like that idea with like the little plastic balls or something like that. You can maybe even like find like styrofoam popcorn little things, because they'll just kind of melt sort of or turn away. So I think there could be some different ways to get that kind of effect even more. But if you really furiously, because that's how air bubbles get into the resin in the first place. People, there's no air bubbles in the jug when it's sitting there. They all kind of float out in the jug if it's sat overnight. Pouring it and then stirring it is how you get all these air bubbles in your stuff that you need to get rid of in the first place. So the more kind of vigorously that you whip it up, the more air bubbles you're going to get. Especially if you kind of like come up and over and you're like pushing air down in there. There's more air bubbles coming to the surface if you do that. I don't really need air bubbles in this one, like excess ones. Craters aren't in the green, but in this one, sure. So we were only at like 90 degrees, so it's not even really that thick yet. Oh, we're at 97, I guess. I swear we were just like at 90 a second ago. I know we're good to 105, like for sure. 115 might be kind of pushing it a little bit. Yeah, you don't really want to use acetone on your molds and stuff like that. I don't really care about these mats. It's not going to, they're already nasty. But yeah, you don't really want to be using acetone on your molds. Use if you want something that's less harsh, use denatured alcohol. You can wipe off alcohol on silicone is fine. The small stuff is everywhere. That's true. The thing I like acetone. What I use this for is to clean up stuff. Like I'm not using it to clean molds. I have denatured alcohol, but I use this to just clean stuff, the stir sticks and all that. The thing is, acetone dries faster a little bit. It's not, we're kind of splitting hairs a little bit, but acetone just seems to work faster and then dry really quick. So that's why I use acetone. But it does have a bit of a smell. I think it's a little bit stronger smell. But it is useful because acetone cleans off, like it'll break down CA glue. So it's good to, like, even if you didn't use this to clean everything, with resin, even if you didn't use it for anything, because the cleaning power of denatured alcohol versus acetone when it comes to like resin casting stuff, I don't think there's any difference. Like I said, acetone just dries faster, but it is handy to have acetone in your shop, I think, or at home or whatever, because it does work. It does affect certain things a little bit differently. Yeah, baby wipes will work. A good one, actually, especially if you get it on your skin, is this resin remover stuff. This is a good thing to have in your shop as well. This is a good product. It's a little greasy, but the thing is, you don't really want to, like, if you get resin on your hands, you do not want to pull out denatured alcohol or acetone or something like that, because what that's going to do is it thins the resin and then it gets into your pores. So you're literally injecting resin into your skin. So not the way to go. That other stuff doesn't do that. It's not going to thin it out and then get into your skin. It kind of encapsulates it, basically, is how it works, I think. But it's much safer. If you get resin on your hands, either if you don't have that, just go use soap and water. That's a much better way, because water doesn't thin out the chemicals in resin to the point where it's going to get into your skin. All right, so where are we at here? 111. We're still good. I mean, this stuff is still pourable, for sure. I mean, 120 might be doable even. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of like going in like a circle, trying to get as much air in this as possible. But I think it's still kind of thin enough. Now watch out, if you're smacking this around and doing this stuff, you got more potential of getting resin splattered into your eyes. So like, frankly, I'm actually going to I typically don't wear glasses, but if you get resin in your eyes, it is not going to be fun. Like, you're probably going to be going to the doctor. $117, we're still okay. I think that I'm kind of getting to the point where I really want to pour this. But the bubbles seem to be getting larger. So 120, I think we're going to go 120, and then I'm pouring this stuff. So we're at 119. I'm going to quickly make a note. 120 is the number that we poured at in my notes. That's important for this one especially. I think we're probably there. 120. Ooh, that's thick and chunky. New York City. It sounds like a salsa commercial. All right, so I'm actually kind of poking my head down in. I think we're about there. So I'm going to start pouring the greenish. I don't think that this is going to be like shifting through, like sinking, like we've seen. I think this stuff is so thick at this point that there's almost no way that we're getting a bunch of movement downward with the green. We'll have to see. It may surprise me. I certainly don't know everything about resin. Ooh, this is pretty thick. I would say that, although it's okay, we're not, ooh, yeah. Pretty thick, pretty thick. That was about perfect, I would say. Okay, now the mixing stick is going to be crazy on this one because it's going to suck all this stuff out. Where's the hole? Oh man, it's thick. Oof. Kind of thinking 115 might have been a little bit better. I mean, I think this is fine, but this is definitely like on the verge. And I don't think that even if I pressurize this, that it would get the air bubbles out of this. Just to let you know. I think that you'd most likely have air. Well, I'm almost certain you'd have air bubbles. Some. I'm not saying that the blanks would necessarily be like ruined, but I think you definitely have little air bubbles here and there. A decent amount of them. So that gives you, that'll kind of give you guys an idea. Without even having to waste resin or anything, temperature-wise, like what too late kind of looks like. It starts to get to the point, like you may get some benefits, like we probably won't have a whole lot of color bleed at all, but what you've kind of given up is like the blanks are going to be kind of not as good as you would want them to be, right? Like I'd rather have a little color bleed and have normal, like in normal circumstances. We're actually trying to get like basically messed up blanks. But if you were going for perfect blanks, this would be kind of a nightmare. Like this would not be awesome. All right, so I'm just going to kind of clean this stuff up a little bit real quick because we had a whole conversation about it. I like my stir sticks clean. I don't know about cleaning the stir sticks every single time, like every one of these stir sticks. There are certain ones that, again, I wouldn't want some sort of dye if I'm making like a very specific dye recipe for a blank. That's one of the things, but I only use certain sticks for that. Like you could just set aside ones that you used, let them dry without having to like clean them all off and all that stuff. And I think that'd be perfectly fine. Like, I'm just gonna get some new gloves. So what do you guys think about that? And I was wearing glasses because I was a little worried. I actually did, now it wasn't like mixed resin. So real quick, I wanna go back to this right here. And I wanna show you, don't really want resin on me. The thing that blew my mind was Jim was like, oh, I don't wear gloves. And I was like, ugh. That's where I really don't like getting resin on the skin. It's not going to kill you or anything, but so look at the top of that. We definitely have some bubbles and like it's setting up, like it's set up. So I think that we've probably trapped a decent amount of air bubbles in this thing. So we'll have to see how this goes. I'm hoping that there's like bigger ones. That's the main hope. I know that this thing is riddled with a bunch of air bubbles, but if we could get like the bigger ones on that you can see on the top of this thing, that would be killer. Like that would be a total win. So I'm just going to set this thing aside. I think we're going to move this entire thing over here. Good thing I put gloves on. All right, so 5 millimeter to 15 millimeter. It's pretty big. Oh, that's the wrong way. Okay, so yeah, that's a good point. Homer Lex brings up, and we'll talk about this. I wouldn't use polish on these. We'll turn. I'm probably not. I don't know. I think what I'm going to do, because next week what I want to turn is the one that we're going to do now. Like, I don't really care as much about these other ones. What I'll probably do is just turn a sample blank out of that thing, probably even before the stream. Just kind of turn it up like I do with those little. I make those little sample things when I'm doing testing. You know, I just kind of do this. Step it down so you can kind of see different, like, how is it on the outside, the middle, and then kind of thinner. So I do that. So I'll probably do that. I don't even know if I need to mess with like the stepping and all that stuff. But I'll turn it. And what I'm going to do to polish it, though, this is a case where I'm going to go through micromesh, or not micromesh, the Zona papers all the way from start to finish. And I'm not going to be sticking polish on it, assuming that there's a bunch of pits and craters in there. If you're going to put polish or even buffing or any of that kind of stuff, if you're going to use something like that, it's just going to get trapped in those dips, the air bubble pockets. So the way to get around that is to just use, you know, if you use micromesh, fine, it's the same thing. Just sand, basically, polish it all the way up using those, like a wet sanding method. And you'll get, you won't get a bunch of white spots and junk trapped into those holes. So that's what I'll do. I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably just kind of do that in my own little, whenever I get a chance, you know, throughout the week next week, just to kind of see what it looks like. It'll be kind of an interesting experiment, though. I know, I think that Peter Brown might have done something like this, and I'm trying to think, Jake might have even. Somebody's made some beer blanks, and I can't remember exactly who that was. Actually, I think it was Ben's Works. Ben over at Ben's Works, he did, and that way you can see what's going on. And he made a pretty effective beer. I didn't even think to look at his video. I'm not sure how he did it exactly, but that would be, if you're really going for something like that where there's bubbles in it. I want to say it was Ben. I'm going to look it up real quick. He also did resin versus beer. Can I make a beer filled? He does a lot of things with putting like water and stuff in resin. No, maybe it wasn't. Beer. Okay. Having a tough, how to make a resin beer. Prop. Well, there's someone else that did it. Maybe it was, well, Jedrick 29T. I could have sworn someone else did it. I might have even done it. Honestly, I might have done it at some point. Something similar. All right, sorry guys, I don't want to waste time searching for that. So what's 5 mil? Yeah, that's pretty big. 5 millimeters. That could be interesting if you put just a few of them in there to get like a, you know, for like the larger one, like not fill it up with that. Yeah, that's that would be like 5 millimeters. This is a millimeter ruler. That would be pretty big. I don't know. Yeah, Ben's always doing some sort of experiment. Uh-oh, I just lost all my... There we go. Yeah, I think 5 millimeters. That would be like the largest I think that I would want them to be. Maybe bigger. I don't know. It'd be an interesting little experiment. All right, so let's get set up for this next round. This is gonna be normal. We'll rein it back in a little bit, guys. So we're gonna go with, again, the robin's egg. Just to let anybody know out there, because I looked it up, if like you would never want to use Tiffany blue in like a marketing description of anything that you make, I just want to warn you, that's a registered trademark of Tiffany and Company. So I'm saying this stuff, it's like Tiffany bluish, but it's a robin's egg is what I'm going to call it. Gretchen's like, why don't you call it fancy blue? And I'm like, that just doesn't sound awesome. There may be ways to like use words like call it like Tiff blue or something silly like that, but you can make up your own name, Tracy blue. But don't use Tiffany blue. Like if you were trying to sell a pen and be like, oh, it's a Tiffany blue pen. I would imagine they'll probably come after you. And all they got to do is just send a letter from their lawyer saying cease and desist. Probably not going to sue you. I think that's a little bit overkill. Unless you don't take it down, then you may end up in court. So just be a little bit careful about that. The NFL is seriously bad. Disney will go after anybody that uses their trademarks and stuff. So just be aware of that. And if you're making like label blanks and stuff like that, be very cautious because you can't use any of those symbols, logos and all that stuff. And because the problem is you're making it seem like they agreed to do that, or it's like official licensed stuff, right? If you're using their trademarks, and if they don't go after you, and this is for anybody that actually has registered trademarks and stuff like that, if you don't go after somebody, then you could lose it. I mean, effectively, if you're not even keeping track of it, then technically, even though you've registered it, there are ways that somebody could say, well, they don't even care, and so it's almost like squatting, like the squatting laws. I need a mold. So just be aware of those types of things. Be cautious about that when you're marketing. Definitely, like if you're sitting at a booth at a craft fair, whatever, like Tiffany's is not patrolling that, but anywhere on the internet, whether it be Instagram or Etsy or your own website or wherever, Facebook, if you're gonna put that, I mean, if you literally put it up on the internet, it's there forever. So they can find that kind of stuff, and it doesn't take much for them. They probably have like AI robots just scouring the internet looking for their trademarks, right? It doesn't take them any time to keep track of those things on the internet. So just be cautious with that kind of stuff. Harley Davidson is probably not good. The thing is, though, there are ways to get licensing things. I mean, it'll cost you. I don't think Tiffany's is going to be like, oh yeah, you can use our thing for your pen. But, I do know that there are people that have licenses for like the armed forces logos and stuff like that. So there is a possibility that you could get that, but just go through the proper channels, pay for it, and you could use things like that in certain circumstances. It is possible to be able to use that stuff. But be very careful if you're doing label blanks. A lot of people just willy-nilly do that. Now, some of my colors actually use the names, which I'm actually kind of skating on thin ice with some of that stuff, but I think that the NFL has never contacted me for anything like that, or any of the sports people. And I think the reason is because I always say it's inspired by this. They're not the actual colors that they use. But you have to be very careful with that kind of stuff. All right, so let's talk about this. We're gonna do. I think we'll just do like maybe not 50-50 mix. Well, trying to think. Yeah, I'm gonna do like a 60-40 split. We're gonna do 60% with the robin's egg, and then we're gonna do 40% with this gold stuff, and it'll just be clear with the gold stuff in there. The golden Starlight. I'm not going to say it. I won't say it. It's not PG. Let's see here. So, same thing. Let's go overhead. Number 2. We're going to do robin egg and golden Starlight. All right, so same drill. We're doing 400 grams. We're going to do the vertical pour. This time, like I said, I'm going to split it like 60-40. I don't know. Like, I just want a little bit more of the blue. So we're going to try that out. I don't want to go too low on the gold though either. So this is fine, 60-40. And that's going to be, I think, 240 and 160. Is that correct? Yeah, 240, 160. Now, when you're dealing with these liquid pigments, like you know, divine pigments. I don't know how eye candies, whatever their paste stuff is called. I don't know how that works. I haven't tried it. But definitely with like the divine pigments and most of the other opaque pigments that I've worked with, let's say, or used, some of them tend to be kind of transparent on the more transparent side, and you got to just like keep adding and keep adding. Some of them are not. Now this one should be pretty opaque. Like, I don't think I need to put a whole lot in there to get it like completely opaque. I don't have to worry about tubes or any of that kind of stuff. So we're going to put in, just to make sure, I'm going to put in 2%. I don't even need 2%. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't need that much. I'm going to put in 1.5%, I think. I'm really not that worried about it. That's going to be plenty. That's 3.6 grams. I don't even think I have to be that accurate or anything. That's one of the nice things about these opaque pigments is, you know, you don't have to worry about how much usually. It's going to be the same color no matter what. Sometimes you may need to factor in and add more due to transparency issues. But like the color's never going to change. That was one of the other problems that I had using Alumilite white. Depending on how much you put in there, it significantly altered the color, like the tone of the color or the shade. Well, not shade. I don't know what the right word is. Because it was either if you didn't put that much in, it was super desaturated, and if you put a lot in, it was very saturated, and that changed the like shade of the color or the tone. So that was a pain. Now you don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it. All right, and then for the golden Starlight, I'm gonna say 160. I think like a teaspoon. This jar's a little small, so I'm just going to use my half teaspoon thing to get 2, but we're going to put a teaspoon of golden. I might see how half teaspoon looks, but I want it kind of loaded up. And I might even make a custom fountain pen, bespoke style, out of this. I have a feeling I could probably get away with like 0.5% with this stuff, and it would still be opaque, but we'll see. All right, I got myself a new cup. Resin bubble beads. Oh, I like that even better. 0.4 to 3 millimeter. I like that. Louis Vuitton will get you. Yep. I would imagine, like, especially those like luxury brands. But I've heard that the NFL is like ruthless. Like, they're really bad. And Disney, those two I heard, and Hello Kitty is another one actually that I've heard of. So some of these, I think some of them, whatever. But like, you got to watch yourself with some of these companies. All right, so 200. 200 grams of Parday. 200 grams of part B. All right, and here we go. Resin bubble beads. Where'd you find the resin bubble beads? That's crazy. That's like exactly what we need. Are they actually made out of resin though? I wonder what they're made out of. Nothing better than a fresh mixing cup. They're so smooth. All right. So we're putting 160 in here. Actually, I don't need to do that. Now I could put like, you know, yellow dye in here also if I wanted, or, you know, something to, you know, to make it everything kind of golden looking. I think we're just going to put, like, keep it with this golden Starlight glitter. So we'll do a half teaspoon. I'm going to see what this looks like before I add more. I don't think there's going to be any reason not to add more, but I do want to kind of just see what we're dealing with here. Ooh, that's nice. But so, you know, this is the tricky thing, is like you're looking in the cup and you're like, oh, that looks, you know, like there's lots. But then you pull the stir stick out and like there's nothing in there. It's not very, you know, loaded up. So, and the stir stick, if you're dealing with a pen blank, you know, where I mean, a pen kit where you're using, you know, drilling out the center and then, you know, putting a tube in there, it gets really thin. And so pulling it out and looking at it with the stir stick, that's a better example of like what it's going to look like in the pen blank, or, you know, in the final pen. So now that's a little bit better. The other thing to keep in mind is we are going to have, you know, all the little swirls of this stuff are going to be surrounded by that totally opaque resin. So you're just going to have little glimpses through. Now, gold is actually kind of a cool one for your kit pens because you can technically get away with, depending, you know, if you put enough, like glitter in this case, if you put enough in, even though you could maybe see through to see the tube is gold, right? So it's not really that big of a deal usually, as long as it's semi, you know, covered up. If it's like a totally clear area, that's kind of a different thing. But I think I'm going to put one more half teaspoon in. I just want to see, I'm just more honestly curious. It was fine where it was at. I just want to try one more and look at this. It's certainly not going to make me angry if it's even, you know, denser. A little bit more dense. I would say that if I put one more teaspoon in, or half teaspoon, I think it would be extremely densely packed. I don't want to do that. I actually kind of want to have a little bit of some areas where it's actually kind of transparent, because I think it's going to be kind of an interesting effect with the blue, or, you know, like the robin's egg blue. Because I think most of those clear areas are actually going to kind of take on the blue a little bit. So I don't think that you're going to really have these areas where, we'll see, You know, we'll have to just see. But I don't think there's going to be significant areas where it's just like see-through and there's a tube there. Now, I don't know if I'm going to make a kit style pen or not. Oh, I need to put the blue in. So we wanted 3.6 grams. And you always want to shake these up just in case. There may be some like pigments, you know, like the pigments themselves tend to sink to the bottom. Yeah, 3.7, close enough. Some of the thicker ones, I'm not as worried. Like this is kind of on the thicker side. But look at that. I mean, I don't know. The problem is the color on these cameras may not really be showing the most accurate, you know, thing. I haven't like gone through and like color, I don't know, white balanced everything. But man, that's going to be a good mixture, I think. So like I said, be looking down the road. It's probably still, it's going to be probably kind of soon, but just the way that I kind of work at a snail's pace. And I like to get things, I've never sold liquid pigments before. So the bottling and the transportation of these things, sealing them, there's a lot that's involved with this. This isn't just sending a piece of plastic across the US. There's like liquid in it, right? So I need to figure out how to get everything set up so that I can ship this stuff and it doesn't just explode. One thing that drives me absolutely nuts is the way Divine Pigment seals their tops. They always leak, like every single one of them, and I'm not doing that. So I'm going to find out a way, you know, to get these things sealed so they don't blow up on the way. Bling it on, I like it. Oh yeah, that's what I said. Bling it on. Oh, that's funny. Oh, on Amazon. Oh, glass ones. Yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah, so it's going to take a little while. I think I've got this one like nailed. Like I don't think that there's any reason for me to tweak or do anything like that. I think this color is going to be what it's probably going to be. I'm pretty much good on the coral for the most part. Army green, I do need to figure out which, there's a few different shades that I could go with, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to use I'm not going to do multiples of the same kind of color. Army green. I'll look into the terracotta thing. What's the other one? Tractor green. That one's probably good. I do need to make some blanks and just make sure, like I was saying, I've done samples where they're flat, but that doesn't always, when you turn it around, the thing is, it really kind of depends on how the light hits it, because it's bending the light around and it changes the shade sometimes a little bit. So I just need to do a little bit of testing on that tractor green to make sure that it's good to go. But those, you know, I got like 4 or 5 colors. And like I said, if you guys think of something that you want me to investigate, I'm not saying that I'm going to make it necessarily, but if it's something that I'm like, yeah, you know, I think I can see a wide, you know, range of applications for this, and I think it's going to be a good one that people might want. Let me know. All right, so temperature wise, I'm going to go with 100 probably. I'm going to go a little bit higher. So one of the things that I've found sometimes can happen when you're dealing with glitter like this, where you're pouring like one thing, I'd say maybe a little bit more with mica powders, it seems like. I don't know. We'll have to see. Sometimes you're pretty much not going to get the glitter part of, you know, when you're pouring like the swirls back and forth, you're going to get some glitter in the blue areas too. Most of it should kind of stay contained within itself, but you're going to kind of get it a little bit everywhere. So I'm going to go a little higher than I maybe normally would. I wouldn't be much below like 95 or anything like that with this, but I think 100 is going to be good. Pink is a good one. I think Divine's got like bubblegum pink. I'll have to think about that. That's a good idea. I think they call it bubblegum pink. It's not bad if I remember. I haven't used it for a while. And then you also got the fluorescent pink is a pretty good one, actually. It can be used, you know, and it turns out pretty good. But yeah, I might look into some different pink colors. That's a good one. So we're about 92 on the scale there. 91, 92. Rusty copper. There is, Divine has rusty orange. Is that what it's called? I don't know exactly what that one looks like. They've got one that might, yeah. They've kind of got one already. It's called rusty orange. I might look into that and just kind of see about that. Some of these things are kind of tough, but not. Sometimes it's tough to know exactly what you have in mind. But yeah, copper. Copper is kind of a weird color to get like solid like that. So we're about 95 with the gold side. So we're getting pretty close here. So let's go to the overhead. I guess I should have done that a while ago. I don't know if I had that on when I was doing this, but this is pretty good. Like I said, you can still see through areas, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And this one. I really like that color. That's a good one. We're at about 97 now. Oh, that went up. 97.5. Found a hot spot. $98. $98.5. Ooh, that one says 99.5, so we're just about there. Give this a stir. I think we're probably there. I'll just kind of move this into the middle a little bit more. Yeah, I think these are going to be pretty cool blanks. Did I call it bling it on? Now, the big question is, do I stir it or not? I'm kind of going with like, maybe not in this case. Might have like more chunks of the gold if I don't. I don't know. Problem is, I don't really want to do half and half because I never remember which ones are which. I think we're just going to leave it. I think we're not going to stir it. Let's see how these turn out. I can always come back and do a stirry one some other time. That's looking pretty cool, I think. What do you guys think about that one? Yeah. Get it in the pressure pot over here. All right. And another one that's already out that's similar to this, it is definitely different, is the Conch Aqua. That one's a pretty good color. That's actually, I mean, really, that's one of my favorite colors from Divine. But it's definitely a different color than this. I did a lot of playing around trying to mess with stuff. This is intentionally inspired by Tiffany Blue. Conch Aqua was a little bit more green, I think, and a little bit more vibrant. So there is a little bit of a difference there, but just to let you know, that one, for one that's especially, you know, it's already out, and it's definitely a good one. You might just go and, you know, snag that now if you're looking for something similar. It's going to give you, like I said, I don't think that it's as close to like Tiffany Blue as this is, but it's in the same time zone. Like that, you know, it's similar. Look at that. That's pretty cool looking right there. Oh, we're on the wrong camera. I poured the overflow. I'm just going to take this out of this thing. It's like pouring out. That's pretty cool looking, huh? Not too shabby. Oh, and that actually reminds me, we've got some faux burl boxes. I've got, wait, what happened? Oh, there it is. I've got one in stock right now. And so again, these are for if you want to recast some, you know, those things. I can actually demold this when it's done. So it's a box of 10 of these guys, of this. They're not cast, they're not like a stopper blank, they're just like the faux burls. So if you want to snag some of these, and they're the overpours, so the one thing is I'm not pressurizing these, so just keep that in mind. There may be a few little, you know, air bubbles and stuff in there, but I don't really find them to be, you know, I've turned a few of these and they seem fine, like, and they're at a discount. They're, you know, they're super cheap, but if you want to snag a box, there's one box that's already ready, and I'm just about to like fill out. I think I need one more. Like actually, that one I just poured might be the 10th. So you get a box of 10 of them, and they're all different, random, you know, extra, you know, overpour colors like this. It comes with, let's see, yeah, 10. It's a 10 blank, or I mean 10 of these faux burls for $10. So kind of fun if you know, want to do like stoppers or handles or any of that kind of stuff. Something to think about. And then of course, if you want to snag, I have the faux burl molds also. If you want to start making your own faux burls, they're also available on the website under the molds, or it's also under the cast. I think it might be under casting supplies. I don't know. Just type in faux burl. You'll find it. All right, so I'm just going to do a little cleanup here because that's what I do. Chuck that one. I even like to clean up the side of these cups because I find that they, when you pop the thing out, if you got a bunch of resin on the outside of this thing, hardened resin, it's harder to pop the thing out. I'm so OCD, guys. It's sad. the only way to keep my sanity, is to be insane. Wiping those off. So next week we'll turn up a pen out of this robin's egg, and gold. Is Mike McEwen here? No stir. Mark is in the house. All right, so we'll just put this aside. So that was pretty interesting. We did a couple of pretty cool tests, I think. I'm anxious to see how the crater thing turned out. I don't know. I don't know what to expect on that. I think we've all, if you've been casting for a little while and you're pushing the limits on timing and all that stuff, you've probably got some blanks with little pinholes in it here and there at least. So, it can happen. Now, did I do enough to really bring out big ones in different size, kind of like a moon crater, like a moon would have? I don't know if that's going to be super apparent. I am very curious. I need to go look. What were those things called? Resin bubble beads. I'm going to look this up real quick before we move on here. All right, so what were these things made out of? Oh, here we go. UV resin draw. Oh, I see. UV resin. Okay. So it would be like, that might be interesting. Sorry, I'm just looking around at a couple different ones. So I see one that has it's 0.4 to 3 millimeter. There's one that's 0.6 to 3. How many do you get with that? 200. Wow. Huh. I'm just gonna. There's one that's like $8, so I'm just gonna get that one. So if anybody wants a link to, I'm gonna grab a link real quick to this thing. If anybody wants to look at this, what I'm getting, if you want to try it out also. That's a good find, Kim. Thank you. We'll give that a shot. I'm gonna proceed to the checkout right now so I don't forget. There we go. Ordered. So we'll give that a shot someday. Like I said, I went with a little bit cheaper one. There was one that was like $12 that you could do. It went down to like 0.4 millimeters. I don't know. Either way. These look like little resin. I guess they're little UV resin things. So, I don't know. Yeah, that thing did look kind of like a geode, didn't it? Huh. That would be kind of fun to do. Now it did, the problem is it doesn't stay like that. Like you got to pour, it's hard to get resin to just sit. Like you pour it into something and it kind of moves around a lot. You got to kind of wait till the last minute to get it to really sit there. Oh, thanks, Darren. Yeah, it is pretty fun. I wish we could do it faster. Like the only way that I could do that is if we did cooking show style or something like that. I could do a pour and then I could turn something. I think the problem is it would be pretty long at that point. I would definitely need to just shut my mouth and get to it. But I don't know. It's kind of fun. That way, you know, you come back next week and see something different. We do different things. Like if somebody's really more interested in just the resin casting and doesn't necessarily want to see the whole turning thing, it lets them, you know, have that Saturday off kind of thing too. So I don't know. No need for faster. Yeah, that's true. I used to have something called accent beads. One thing, like I said, one thing that I would be interesting is if I could find like the same type of thing, but it was like styrofoam or something like that, where potentially it might even just melt during the curing process. That would be pretty neat. Then you wouldn't even have to mess with anything. Yeah, we're doing the cliffhanger. But it should be fun, you know. I'm looking forward to next week. I'm not sure, like, Gretchen doesn't, I've made her some of those, like, fountain pens that are the custom ones, and, like, she doesn't really use fountain pens. So, like, this pen would, you know, whatever I'm making is probably going to be for her. I'm just looking to see what I have in here as far as pen kits go. I don't have a lot of the... Could do an Apollo. Or Artemis. That might be kind of cool. Closed end pen. Do I have any... Yeah, that might be kind of cool. Are they all fountain though? They're still fountain pens. We've got an Element Junior. That might be kind of neat with the real brass. It's kind of heavy though. Man, don't have a lot as far as like the two-piece pens. You could maybe do like a cigar. You can maybe just do like a brass cigar. I think I have one of those. It's not as fancy, but she'd probably use it. That's like my whole point. Could do your fig burl. Brush on dark. Oh yeah, you can paint on stuff. That's one of the really cool things with these molds. If you can like paint, you know, whatever. Like a dark gray powder. Usually like mica powders and stuff work pretty well, and you can just kind of dust it on there and then you just kind of tap it out. The thing is, you're probably going to pull some of it off when you pour stuff in there a little bit. You'd want to kind of carefully let it seep down in there just to kind of cover the surface with your resin first, so you're not pulling up the whatever color you painted on. But that's a pretty cool way to do it. Oh yeah, actually that's true. The purple and the gold Starlight would probably be pretty cool to. So I'm gonna have to, like, it just wasn't on my radar. I didn't go out and buy the gold Starlight. Literally the manufacturer sent the wrong thing to me, and I'm like, what the heck is this? But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, maybe I'll keep it. I don't really want to mess with sending it back and all that stuff anyway. So let's see how it goes. So if anybody wants to snag the golden Starlight, it's available on the website right now. So here's a link to that. There's a link in the description. And again, I updated the Eagles blanks. They used to be green, black, and like a silver, you know, like light gray. And I updated them to have, I'm going to do the overhead, it's a better view, to have the white in them. So they're much better, I think. Honestly, the other ones were good. I didn't mind them in any way, but like I said, I was watching the Super Bowl and I'm like, meh, these aren't really, this silver thing, it's just a little accent color in their helmets. It's just not prevalent anywhere. So I decided to switch that up, and I think it was a good idea. These things are looking pretty sweet. How did your Pantene? Oh, a patina pen. Haven't done it yet. I have been so busy man. it's just tough. Like I'm in and out and doing stuff. Like I said, I'm helping my parents out a lot more with like doctor's appointments and all kinds of stuff. And I have not been able to like focus on anything for like more than 3 hours at a time. It just hasn't happened yet. So I'll get on that pretty soon here. Barb's here. How's it going? I missed you when you came in. So Amy's here. What's up? You missed it. We're all done. We're wrapping it up. I'm actually shutting it down right now. But these guys are available on my website as well. The Eagles blanks, the new version. They are the ones that are in stock. Penny cleared me out on the closeouts from the grayish ones. Like I said, those look good, and they've been popular. It's nobody's like, oh, these are terrible. They looked fine, but I'm like, this could be better. So anyway, I appreciate you guys all hanging out. I can't wait to see how both of these, like I said, I'm going to turn the little bubble experiment one. There's definitely some bubbles in there. So we'll have to see if we got any like different, like larger size ones. The problem is a lot of times like the bigger bubbles tend to pop. So we'll have to see how the bubbles turned out. Like I said, I'm just going to turn one back, like the sample things that I do. And then for that, I know that there's definitely going to be pinholes in it for sure. Depends on what size they are or whatever, to see if we got like what I want out of it. But I'm not going to be using any polish or buffing. I'm going to use the Zona papers all the way, green to white. That way you don't get like a bunch of white stuff trapped in all those little holes. It's kind of a nightmare. Now, the other way you could do it is maybe, the problem is you really can't put a CA finish on because it's going to fill in those things and probably make them disappear. Kind of like, I don't think it's going to work as well. So we're just going to go for the whole, Zona paper, and that's it. Packing up soon. Where are you guys at? Oh, you're in Tempe right now. Oh, cool. Oh, well, you can go live right now. Everybody head over to Turner's. Where are you packing up right now? You should go live right now and be like, here's how we pack up the booth. So, anyway, thanks again for joining the fun today. Come back next week. We'll turn up one of the Tiffany blue, don't use that ever, inspired blanks. And then we'll see what these little crater things, the experiment looks like. And I'm looking forward. Thanks for for hunting those little beads down, Kim. We'll give those a shot now. So yeah, you can go live right now. So anyway, guys, again, have a good night tonight. Thanks for joining the fun, and I'll see you guys on next